Hey, welcome parents. I just wanted to introduce myself here before back to school night. Talk a little bit about the class. I know some parents won't be able to make it, so hopefully this is a resource that you find helpful. Wanted to start by introducing a little bit about the class, a little bit about myself. So one thing I do want to point out for those who are coming to back to school night is that my room location has changed this year because of the renovation. I'm now part of the Hornet's Nest outside, as we're calling it, all the new quads and parcos. So I'm in PK7. I wanted to give you a visual reference here of what that looks like. I'm out on the back corner of the school near the football field. If you're on the cafeteria side, the back right-hand corner of the school lot. It's near the Kiss and Ride, if you know where that is. So hopefully this is a good visual reference to help find it. If you're still stuck, look for the pink flamingos. I put those up as sort of a landmark this year for parents and students. So if you see the flamingos, you've come to the right place. But we'll start by talking a little bit about the course. So the AP course is 2 semesters. Students take 2 AP, or expected to take 2 AP exams in May. We cover macroeconomics in the fall and microeconomics in the spring. I think macroeconomics is sometimes a little bit easier for students to get into and start to get their sort of feet under them. A lot of the topics that we talk about, as you'll see, sort of correspond to things that I think are easier for them to pick up through current event and the news. Both the courses, though, do have a corresponding AP exam at the end of the year, and they follow the same format. The multiple choice in the first part, which is 2/3 of the score, and then there's a writing section with 3 free response questions that counts as the other 1/3 of the skill. And the emphasis here isn't about essay writing or grammar necessarily. It's more on skills, being able to apply what we've done in class, economic reasoning, some of the graphic models that we're looking at. So one of the things throughout the year that we really practice is working on those skills because, one, it will help them understand the concepts, I think, which is the most important thing. And 2, not only can they use that in the free response, but it'll also help them, I think, on the multiple choice, being able to understand all of that as well. So in class, here's how I present material typically. I do some lecture. Typically it's like this, though. Your students will actually come home, they'll see a video of me talking about a topic. I like doing it that way in that flipped format so that in class we can really work on the skill development. I have time in class then to work on, practice problems with them. Current event readings, some practice free response quizzes, and free response questions that we really hit those skills pretty hard in class. And so if they can get the content through a 15-minute video outside of class like this, then, when they come into class, I have more time to really figure out what we need to work on. We have discussions, we talk about current events. Right now we're going to get ready to talk about the government shutdown in class, so it frees up more time for that. And then they also have the video to go back, review the content at their leisure. So I tend to mix it up, though. I do understand that not every student learns in the same way. Some are visual, auditory, so I present a variety of methods. We do discussion one day, and then we might work on some practice problems, or I may lecture a little bit in class and work with them that way. Just giving each student a chance to really work with the type of learning style that best fits them. So, when we talk about the courses, here's what we'll focus on in macroeconomics this semester in the fall. Right now we're talking about basic economic concepts. Next unit we'll move into how do we measure the economy, talk about GDP, inflation, unemployment, the business cycle. We'll talk about monetary and fiscal policy, working about the Federal Reserve and the congressional budget process. We talk about trade and international economics towards the end of the semester. So each semester really is a full-length college course kind of condensed, and so we do move it a little bit quicker of a pace. Same in the spring, when in microeconomics, we focus on the topics of supply and demand, markets, right? What's the difference between a monopoly, perfect competition, and an oligopoly? We talk about the role of government and market failure. So each semester is pretty packed with content. So one thing that I am asking parents to do is remind their students to keep up with the daily readings and homework. Each student is given a schedule at the beginning of every unit, kind of laying out what's expected for the next week or 2. Or 3, depending on how long the unit is. And so they'll always have that as a reference of what to do. If there's ever a question, please feel free to email me, or a student can come and contact me during Stinger. But we do move at a pretty accelerated pace. We do have a fair amount of material to cover. The other thing I'd like to take a minute to address is grading for this year. So I've sort of reflected on my grading policy. And beginning this school year, the grading system I'm going to use is going to be a shift to a standards-based grading scale. The idea here is to move away from sort of giving points for assignments and really focusing on the deeper mastery of the material. My goal is that I want students and parents to be able to easily identify student mastery of a given topic. Do they understand the material to the required standard? I want to give them better feedback. And so as we do this, you're going to see a different change in notation in the gradebook in terms of what goes in. And I'll be listing things as formative assessments and summative assessments. Formative assessments are those daily check-ins with students. These are designed to help students and myself assess what material they still need maybe some time to practice with, what they really understand and are good with. So this is sort of the assessment for learning. This is really the crucial feedback that I can provide to students to help them understand what they've already mastered, what they still need to work on. And so when we talk about formative assessments, the way I'll be reporting grades, and you may be familiar with this, I know some of the middle and elementary schools use this, it is a 1 to 4 scale. And you can see here the rubric that students will be exposed to with this system. When they look, they should see, okay, I'm at a level 2. I have a basic understanding of this topic, right? I show some knowledge, I have some organizational ideas, but I need them to move to a level 3. And so this will help me provide more detailed feedback to students and parents about what they know, what areas need improvement. Maybe they need to pick up 1 or 2 things. I don't want them to spend time going back and learning all of the material again when they've got 70% of it, 80% of it. So this scale, my goal is that by the end of the year, every student should be performing at this level 3 or 4, really understanding the content and the materials. So when you see the reporting noted in SIS this year, it's going to be looking a little bit different. At Back to School Night, I'll talk a little more about this, and I've also posted a handout for parents about this idea of a switch to standards-based grading, so you can do a little bit more reading as to what exactly this will look like. The other side is summative assessments. Summative assessments are designed as assessments of learning. Where are they at the end of the unit? So this is the end of the unit tests, this major quizzes, the free response practice questions that we do. And these are modeled as the types of skills that they're asked about on the advanced placement exam for both of the subjects, macro and microeconomics. Summative assessments, and this is the big change, will be the only component of the final grade. The rest of it I'm viewing as practice. I'm not going to be grading them on their practice. I want to grade them on what they've demonstrated as mastery. So again, summative assessments will be the only component of the final grade. And when we put that together, I think it'll present a much clearer picture of where students are in terms of their knowledge of the material. And that's really what I want grades to reflect in this class. I know in years past, students maybe weren't demonstrating mastery on a quiz, for example, but their homework grade was good, their classwork grade was good, they were doing all the pieces in class right, and so it maybe got lost in the shuffle on a quiz that they may not have performed as well on. And my goal is to really clarify for that. I want to make it clearer what students know and need to progress on. So I'm hoping that this switch will allow me to better provide feedback for both students and for you, for parents, so that you know where your student is, what they've got at all times. As we go through this process, the first quarter, I'm really going to be making it clear for parents as well. So be looking for emails, updates, and SIS, things like that, that really lay out exactly where students are for the course. And again, like I said, I've posted a little bit more information on Blackboard that you can review as well. Everything was always going to be posted to Blackboard for this class. Homework, class handouts, anything that we do in class, the review lecture videos, it'll all be housed there. If your student is ever out for a day, maybe they're on a field trip or they're absent for whatever reason, please encourage them to be checking Blackboard. That's the first place I want them to look to make sure that they have the materials, that they have the notes, whatever we're doing in class, so that they're not missing anything. Like I said, we do move at a pretty accelerated pace, and hopefully this will allow them to keep up with the study materials and review materials. It's always going to be available to them as well, so if they are demonstrating that they need to achieve more mastery of a subject, they can always go back and I'll have resources posted there for them as well. As far as materials for this class, each student was issued a textbook earlier this week or last week, and they'll have online access as well. So they do not need to bring their books to class. This is for them to keep at home and keep up with the reading as it's listed on the course schedule. As far as review guides, I know some parents and some students find it helpful to pick up a review guide for the AP exams. I have a lending library here in class. Students are more than welcome to check them out here. I only have a handful to go around, so some parents find it helpful to pick one up. The key here is you do not need to purchase the newest, latest and greatest. The exam format is the same as it has been for a few years. The content is the same. So if you find it easier if you have a sibling that took the class, use the same one, that's fine. This isn't a requirement that students buy this, but I just need to know that some parents find it helpful to help them keep material straight as we go through the year. I really encourage parents to stay involved with what we're doing in class. The first way is just to talk about current events. Like I said, we'll be talking about a lot of different topical things in this class. One thing that we're going to bring up next week, like I said, is the government shutdown. What does that mean? How does that work? What's the impact? So if you can talk about those things with your students as you see them in the news or you're reading about it in the newspaper, feel free to share that with your student and have a conversation. I'm also available through email or by phone. If you'd like, you may sign up for the text message updates, the same as the students. So at the beginning of the year, students have the option to sign up. It's optional to get the text messages for the class. It's just another way for me to remind them of upcoming assignments, homework, tests, quizzes, any current events that are going on. So please, if you'd like to sign up for those same updates, the instructions are here. You can text and join with that. And as always, parent review is a good resource as well, so that you know where your student is in terms of assignments and grading. With SIS, my goal is to have everything in SIS within 3 days of it being assigned in class once I've graded it and returned it. So, my goal this year is to stay on top of that. Some of the tests and longer free responses might take a little bit longer, but I'll keep parents updated as timely as possible about grades. And if you ever have a question about a grade, please, again, feel free to contact me. I'm really looking forward to a great year working with your students. Already, I can tell this is going to be a great group of students to work with. Just in the handful of classes that we've met already, they're showing a really sharp attitude about it. They're really enthusiastic about what we're doing. So I'm really looking forward to a great, fun, and productive year. If you ever need to get a hold of me, again, my email is right there. It's crgannon@fcps.edu. Please feel free to reach out. Let me know what I can do to help your student be more successful in this class. And I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you further throughout the year.